deal of the year is.
All right, I call the November 27th meeting, school board meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag is being raised. But once we get to stare at your backs instead of
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you everybody for coming. Can I get started with the approval of the agenda?
I so move.
It's been moved. Any second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, any discussion on the agenda? All right, so for you high schoolers, just so you know, this is actually 2 meetings tonight. Seriously. So,
Get a bonus.
yeah, you get both. So can I get all those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we have an approved agenda. Moving on to comments and suggestions from citizens. Is there anybody in the crowd tonight that would like to speak to the board? All right, again, we have our online form or email. You can email any of us. Our phone numbers are on there as well. Anything that goes through Joe, we share amongst the 7 of us. Actually, it's Joe. So, all right, now we'll get to the students that have waited to the very last minute to come to fulfill your government class. So I will please have you stand up and state your name, your teacher, and since there's so few of you, you get to say your favorite subject, and it's probably not going to be government class. So, start over here.
I'm Cashmo and Mr. Marmy and Matt.
Matt.
Luke Regan, teacher assistant Marmy and government secretary.
Sean Palin, my teacher's Mr. Marmy, and my favorite subject is
Abby Hayes, my teacher is Mr. Lawrence, and my favorite subject is anatomy.
Thank you. Oh, we got one more.
Sorry.
You guys can sit.
Vivian Peterson, my teacher is Mr. Lenz, and my favorite subject is science.
Thank you. Luke, you surprised me with the government class. Appreciate that. All right. Moving on to, sorry. Should this be consent agenda?
No.
Okay. I moved on to the regular party agenda. First up is the, can I get approval of the board minutes?
So move. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the last meeting board minutes? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we have approved meeting minutes. Okay, next up is the treasurer's annual report. That's you.
Yes. Got a couple things. At the end of June 2023, our treasurer's cash balance is $22,878,408.78. The secretary's balance, same date, is $21,320,594.53. For the 22-23 year, interest earned is $1,239,285.67, which is an increase over the prior year of $1,112,055.73. So interest rates have definitely affected that. That concludes my report.
Thanks, Steve.
Motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion or questions for Steve on the treasurer's report?
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, all those in favor of approving the treasurer's report, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we have an approved report. We're moving on to the certified annual report. Jill.
Thank you. This evening I handed out, and it's included in your packet, the certified general report that's filed with the Department of Ed. It's due September 15th. attachment is all of the reports that are actually uploaded to the state, but the presentation is just a summary of what was uploaded. So I'm just gonna go over that in a pretty quick, high-level detail. We'll go over the general fund, other funds, just quickly, a couple highlights for next year, and if you have any questions, you don't have to wait till the end, just ask me now. So on the the fourth slide, looking at the general fund, total assets at June 30th, 2023 were $27.1 million compared to $26 million in the prior year, an increase of just over $1 million. Total liabilities were $17.8 million compared to $17.1 million in the prior year. The increases are due to increases in cash and year-end accruals. Our receivables went up a little bit and our payables went up a little bit. Really, it's just timing of when we receive our money or pay our bills around the end of the year. And then as we're looking through the slides tonight, kind of remember maybe the one underlying thing this year is we received some more federal funds. Our tuition in was higher this year, our net tuition in. And then we were trying to not spend all of our money. Every year we say we want to spend all of our money within 1 year, the year we get it for the kids, so we can try and sustain the math interventionists, right? So we will see some positive results this year. Looking at the next slide for the components of the general fund balance. At the end of the year this year, our fund balance in general fund was sitting at $9.3 million compared to $8.9 million in the prior year. The components of fund balance, they can either be legally restricted, we can assign them, those are like PTA accounts or PTO accounts, or they can be unassigned, undesignated, we can spend them on anything we want. A little different this year within our restricted amounts. Those amounts actually went down from the prior year, and that's primarily from spending our flexibility funds, because that categorical money was restricted, we transferred it over and we spent some of it. There was also a decrease in our professional development reserve, so that's our TSS money, which supplements the payment of our staff. We had an increase in FTEs in our math interventionists, and we had more people move over and down on our salary schedule. So we do have to spend that every year. Legally, we're obligated to. Anything we don't spend out, we pay out in November, but we actually spent down a little bit more of it by June this year. And then our undesignated and unreserved fund balance actually increased about $800,000 from the prior year. The next slide, the graph, you can kind of see how the top bar, the lighter color, is bigger. That's our unreserved, undesignated compared to how it was in prior years. And then our other groups have shrunk a little bit. That just reiterates what I said about on the previous slide. Looking at the statement of revenues and expenditures on the 7th slide, our revenues increased from the prior year from $37.1 million to $40.1 million, almost a $3 million increase. Our revenues increased due to an increase in supplemental state aid, that was about $900,000. We have the increased tuition in about $800,000. We did have additional federal funds this year. We are still working on spending down our COVID money. And then, as you heard, our interest income went up as well. Our expenditures increased by about $2.5 million from the prior year and totaled $39.8 million. And the increase in expenditures was primarily due to salaries and benefits. We obviously had raises, our new math interventionists. It seems like a ways away, but we did have an October retention payment that was in this last fiscal year that was paid out. And then the audio enhancement project was a pretty big one-time expenditure that we're not used to seeing as well. Overall, the general fund balance increased $315,000 from the prior year.
So that audio enhancement, that was at the junior high, correct?
It was the first one,
Alan Shepard.
Alan Shepard,
Okay.
yeah. So we'll see it one more time next
Oh,
year at
okay.
junior high, yeah.
So Jill, local sources, that's a combination, you said, open enrollment and as well as interest.
Yes.
So we're at 1.4,
Yep.
1.5.
Yeah, the tuition in was about $800,000. The interest income in this fund was $300,000. And then it would just be some other miscellaneous things that aren't quite as big, yeah.
Do you think that we'll do that retention payment again?
No, we have not unless we decide to do something in a different way that the law allows us to do. but with what we did do, it was with the federal CARES money, and we've budgeted all of that. We don't
Okay.
have anything left.
Thanks.
Yep. On slide 8, I just show the pie chart that really looks the same as in the prior years. That shows what our revenues are made up of, our sources. As in the past, it's normal for school districts to have our state sources and property taxes account for over 80%. You know, they're 84% of our revenue, and it really doesn't fluctuate much from year to year. The next slide, looking at it from the same side for the expenditures. I think this is the first time we're almost really close to hitting the IESB mark for the salary and benefit ratio, you know, based on what they recommend. We're always pretty high on that. But our salaries and benefits compared to the general fund total expenditures, they decreased just a little bit from 83.1% to 82.7%. And ISB recommends 82. I can see next year maybe we'll be lower too because we do have an audio enhancement again, but then it just kind of depends on how we play with the money, what happens in the future. The last couple of years I've had a slide for our expenditures of federal money just because they've gone up quite a bit. You know, it used to be it was primarily the food and nutrition fund where we spent most of our money. We still spent almost $3 million this year. I'd point out that we did have some new programs. IVRS is TAP, that's a new program the district has. Project Search isn't a new program, but it's now funded with federal money, so that's a new federal source that we've not had in the past. I was thinking there was one more, but I guess maybe those are just the two. Oh, and TPRA, the Grow Your Own, the Teacher Para Grow Your Own is a new program, that's federal money also.
And Hester, this is the last year of the 937 is it?
It is, yep.
What does that TPRA stand for?
Teacher, para, and apprenticeship.
Oh, okay.
Apprenticeships, yeah.
Is that right?
It's for all, you know, with our,
All right, good.
Yeah.
Just
And how do you pronounce the next acronym below that?
Oh, well, I just say IVRS, Iowa Vocational Rehabilitation Services. Yeah.
Food and nutrition, is that the last year, is that primarily for the reimbursement we got for the meals?
Yep, the rates were a little higher. We got all the meals paid and we did the summer program.
Okay.
So there was a lot of different things.
That's a 1.4, or did they do some, did she buy some new equipment with that as well?
No, it would have all been non-equipment related items. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
So the last, I guess I got two more financial indicator slides for the general fund, the unspent authorized budget. Over the last 5 years, our UAVs ranged from 4.9 million to 8.4 million. That seems like a big increase, but the percentage of our maximum authorized spending authority, you know, it really isn't that big because our maximum authority keeps going up every year. ISB says it's nice to have a maximum authorized budget percentage range from 13 to 18%, with a recommended target not to exceed 25. And we're sitting at 17.83 at the end of this year. So up just a little bit again because we're looking at trying to sustain some of the programs that we have right now, but the general fund's sitting healthy. And then the solvency ratios on the next slide. Again, ISD target of 10 to 15%, generally not to exceed 25%, and we're sitting at 21.4, just slightly up from last year. So everything looks like it's pointing in the direction at the end of the year like we wanted it to. So then I have one slide just summarizing the other funds. Our beginning fund balances, our revenues for the year, our expenditures, and what our ending fund balances are. The management fund started out at 3.2 million and ended at 3.2 million. I mean, that balance is more than sufficient to meet rising costs, and then as we work through our budget next year, that's someplace we can help balance our levy too if we want to, right? It's one of the places that we can play with. The Pearl Fund went from $345,000 to $537,000. Really, that's just accumulating one more year's worth of property taxes for the Y in case we need to do any repairs or maintenance there. The Activity Fund balance started out at a $505,000 balance and ended at $537,000, which is normal. It spends what it brings in, budgets and sustains itself.
493.
expected, from 2.4 million to 860,000. As you know, that's where we paid for the rec center and had some unexpected expenditures, the junior high roof, central office. Obviously, we didn't get reimbursed for all of that. And then we did prepay for some things in this fiscal year that obviously we'll take out of this year's budget. We did one more year's worth of technology ordering early.
Was 5th Street in there too, or was that the 5th Street purchase?
No, part of it, I think maybe just a little piece of it, but we took what we could too out of the student built home. So we took part of it out of one and part of it out of the other. Save balance increased from 2.6 million to 20.3 million. Most of that really is the revenue bonds that are sitting in there. At the end of the year, we still had $18.5 million of the funds we had received that we hadn't spent out yet. The nutrition fund went from 2.2 to 2.6. Still just, increase in meals served. She always is operating a great program. I would note though that I think about $25,000 of that balance will be spent now the year we're in, because she'll be paying for the equipment out of here. That's what she's looking for. Childcare, 142,000 down to 106. Post-COVID, childcare is kind of struggling a little bit to get back to where they were. I think when we had our meeting at Ed White, we increased rates, so we are asking for the service fees to be higher. That didn't start until the year that we're in. Still struggling to kind of get moving yet, but we meet with her.
She'll be coming after the first of the year, looking at how she can break even to making money, because she only has 2 more years. She loses $50,000 a year on average for the last since COVID. Obviously, there's only 2 more years to do that before we'd have to quit doing that business. Good chance recommendation is we can't do drop-in service. We're gonna have to have people pay for 5 days a week like all the other businesses do, because we're taking up an awful lot of slots for kids who may or may not show up, but yet we have families who need 5 days of service. And so she's gonna analyze that, and after the first year, we'll be bringing something forward.
Which that's pretty normal with all, even private pay.
Correct, we're the only ones
Yeah.
who does drop-in within our area that you can literally
Which has been
be on the
nice.
list and bring. It's a great service,
I
it's just,
know.
you can't go out of
Still a
business
business.
because of that service.
Right.
So, but she'll analyze it out and bring something forward.
My last 2 funds, student construction fund started out at 404,000 and ended at 495. About 85,000 was the gain on the sale of our last home, and then a little bit of interest income in there as well. And then health insurance fund was at 4.6 and ended at 4.8, so a healthy year for the health insurance fund. Hopefully, I keep them up.
I think you remember when the student construction, when we first started, I think it was right around $180,000 to $200,000.
Yeah, it was pretty low.
It's amazing how James has been able to grow that program.
Yeah.
Fund balance.
Those are the highlights. For next year, my highlights, or the year that we're in, actually, or no, I guess before that. So we did do our financial statement and federal funds audit. They're wrapping that up. Hopefully they'll be able to come to the first board meeting in December, which is a little earlier than we've done in the past, but that'll time up good with the issuance of the bonds. But that all went well, so I was pleased with that. As I'm sure you know, there's no IPERS increase for this year. I guess I got excited about my 2025. Year to date, our health insurance plan is running well. We've exceeded our reinsurance. Our October 1st enrollment to calculate stuff for next year unfortunately went down, but our net open enrollment is up, and we budgeted to spend all of our estimates.
Thanks, Jill. Jill from Pebble, will we get another 1.9 this coming year? What's our yearly?
Yeah, we will. It might even be a smidge higher.
Okay. All right.
Pebble's the one that grows by valuation, so when valuation goes up, Pebble goes up. It's the only one. Typically, we talk about our budget being student-driven, but Pebble does increase, and so would Pearl increase as valuation. So as some of those big businesses like Amazon and stuff come on, they will start generating more and more money in those areas. So that's positive for the district.
We did have a couple insurance claims in that number this year, though, too, that we wouldn't have next year.
So we don't have that be 2.5, but it's down to 900, but
discussion on the annual report?
Jill, one question, the $100,000 was added to save, was that our donation of the
It-
100,000, and are we, clearly we're allowed to add a donation amount to, or technically our save funds?
We are, yeah,
Okay.
if it's capital in nature, yep.
Okay.
They don't have to just run through the general fund, they can go through the fund that is deemed proper for them to be in.
And do we do that because it was earmarked for a specific project that we said we're gonna pay for under save?
Yep,
Okay.
RDA, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor of approving the certified annual report for 22-23, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we have an approved annual report. All right, moving on to old business. We have a public hearing.
Public hearing, correct.
So we're gonna take a cheat sheet here. So I'll entertain a motion to
I make a
open.
motion, we open a public hearing.
Second?
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Those in favor of holding the public hearing for the SIPA policy, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we're in public hearing. Is there anybody that wants to comment here on the district's SIPA policy?
Dan's here too, just to get some background. I don't know if you have any background. It's a requirement for us for
Yeah,
for
it's-
appropriate use.
Yep, requirement for our E-rate eligibility. I think every 3 years we need to have record of a public hearing. So for those of you that don't know, SIPA is the Children's Internet Protection Act. So basically our policy says that we monitor and filter all of our web content before it reaches students. So it's just a hearing to basically say that we have that and get any feedback on that policy at this point.
Thanks, Dan.
Dan, part of the policy, I think, is also that the students have to like sign the internet policy, is that right?
Yeah, so part of our technology agreement during registration.
Okay, I
is
was just
part
gonna
of
ask you, that's so that parents are signing that really during registration?
Yep.
Do the students at all read it homeroom or anything like that? Are the parents
We go
expected?
over it. I know 7th grade does a really good job of it because traditionally that was when kids got their Chromebooks. I believe in elementary librarians, they go over kind of the layered down version of it. And then at the high school, we do it as part of our freshman orientation, and then new students as they come in. For people to register, you can't disagree to it, basically. It is
Right.
agreed to follow
Yeah.
this.
But it's the parents that are doing the registration, right?
Typically.
So it's good to hear that. like,
Yeah, we do find
it's always
places
covered in.
to educate them
Yeah.
along the way. Yep.
So parents know that their kids are getting those policies, reading them. and-
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. No other input from the public, so I will entertain a
Make a
motion.
motion to close the public hearing.
All right, motion seconded. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, so we're now on to board member discussion. Does anybody else have any other questions on this? No? Okay, it says here we're not supposed to do roll call, so I'm not doing roll call. Just so you're aware. I'll entertain a motion to approve the.
Make a motion to approve the district CIPA policy.
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the district SIPA policy, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that's approved. All right, before we move on to the very last item on the first part of this agenda here, I do want to say this is John's last board meeting with us after 12 years of service. So John, thank you very much for your service. And we're going to have a little bit 5-minute break where please have everybody stay here. We have some awards to present to John before we start up our next meeting in Cedar, new board members and our officers. So again, we'll open it up if anybody else has any words to say before we adjourn this meeting. Just thought it was kind of appropriate to just do this last bit of our last meeting here as this group here. So.
I'd like to say something. I would just like to thank John. He helped me learn a lot about being a board member, a good board member when I first started, and you've given your heart and soul to the school district, and I thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I would like to also thank John. I've been on the board, I thought it was 13 years. Well, anyway, what's a year? But, You do so much behind the scenes that people don't realize. The community, you're such a servant, and you've been a great role model and advocate, and just you make a difference. You're very value added to this school district, and I know you're going to continue to do that. There's some projects I know you're going to continue to stay involved with. We are truly going to need you to help with a lot of things. 'Cause you're one of those people. You're a difference maker. So thank you for all you do and contributing to the school and the community, and certainly what you've all done on this board. It's been very much appreciated.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would also like to just echo thanks for all that you've done. I know that you helped me when we needed to hire, especially a special individual for our school district, and you were always there to help make that be a top priority for you. And I remember working for you when I was working at the high school, and you were always a square shooter. If you needed something, you could go talk to you, and you would say, "This is how I see it," and that's the way you stood. So I appreciate those type of things, and you'll be missed. And I know that I got your phone number, so I know where you work.
Thank you.
I'll bring my boots out if I need to.
Okay. Thank you. Do you bring in your shovel too?
I think there's plenty of shovels out there, because I don't want to take one home.
Thank you, Frank.
And John, I'd like to thank you for all your encouragement and support. So you are going to be missed, and I know the difference that you make is not going to change. It'll continue. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen.
I'd also like to thank you, John, for your 12 years. I think beginning when I was a new board member, one of our first days on the Hill, I remember you chatting with me in the chambers and showing me the ropes down there. So I've never been a part of or done before, so I appreciate that. It's made me enjoy sitting in the delegate convention piece. So appreciate all you've done. Like I said, we know you do a lot behind the scenes and very passionate about the students and a lot of areas. So thanks for all you've done.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Yeah, John, how many years were you president too?
4.
4 years
President
president,
for
which is a lot of extra meetings. You know, I think about, obviously we sat down with the governor multiple times, and a lot was you getting that meeting set up for us, and I appreciate that, and the connections that we've been able to do to help influence a little bit down there. Obviously, the amount of time and effort you put into lots of different areas. You know, right now fundraising, I think we might be up to $500,000 towards a regional center, and those kind of things. That people don't see, that lots of board members, but you too, that put in time outside of just this one meeting. So thank you for all that time.
I'd like to say it has been a fun ride. Each and every one of you, has been great to get to know you. Also, all of the staff and everybody else. It's just been absolutely fantastic to be part of the growing of North Scott. We know one thing always, it's going to change, and it's your lives that have made the change for the better, and each and every one of you have contributed to me as well, and I thank you for that, and I'll be forever indebted to you folks. Remember, your payday is the one day in May, and that's really what makes it special, that day that we get to see the fruits of our labor, and that's really a great thing. So I'm the guy that's blessed. I'm the guy that's blessed to have gotten to know every one of you. And we see each other at our best and at our worst a lot of times. And so that's also part of it. That's part of being the board family that we are, and working towards a common goal and working it out amongst ourselves just like a family would to get to that. And so I want to thank each and every one of you and all the staff and everybody else. So thank you. Thank you for it. I'm like you said, I'm not going away. I'm rechanneling my energies and maybe pushing a little bit towards my passions rather than all of the board. Maybe just channeling it in different other spots. And right now, fundraising happens to be where I'm channeling it at. And obviously, once that'll reach an end, and then we'll find something else to be part of. So anyway, so thank you all. Thanks to each and every one of you.
also have the school board. One of the things John did was took a couple extra classes so that we get a picture. So we got our
John wasn't
recognition.
the only one.
No, but he wouldn't have done it in the last seconds. No, we all, yes.
We did peer pressure.
Poorly worded, but he did have to take 2 quick classes.
I had to
for
take
us
2
do.
classes online, and I was undergoing cancer treatments in Chicago. And on my way to Chicago and back, I listened to those classes so I could complete it. And just to make it, everybody had to be part of this to make it happen. And so the peer pressure was, John, you need to do it so everybody gets the award. It wasn't my award. It was, hey, you need to get your butt going so the award can be had by all. So anyway, I was glad to do it. It actually was pretty interesting. At first, you go in kicking and screaming and saying, I don't want to listen to this. This is a bunch of garbage. But it was not. It was very interesting, and listening to them, and it was a good time. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes to Northwestern University, and they were about 2 hours long, so it's almost perfect. Anyway, but yeah, I'm glad to have helped.
So we'll present these to you after we adjourn. We'll get our picture opportunities with everybody.
All right.
We'll go from there. So
Great.
I'll entertain one more motion for this group.
I'll make a motion to adjourn since it's my last one.
All right. Motion seconded. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. So, John, we've got,
Johnny came through, so I've been told it's been ordered, the official one, but it's not in yet, so.
All right.
Joni and I got to actually use some hand tools, so.
All right.
Good
for you.
Where do you want to go?
Let me get out of here. How about?
Let's get, right. I'm terrible at it. All right. We want one with the whole group here. You good? The whole group. Oh, yeah. This is your last pass.
Oh.
Does the whole board want to get in there?
Lifetime pass.
So you like that back?
Are we all supposed to go?
Yep.
Are you gonna stand behind the bookcase?
No.
We're the right ones for
All right, one more.
You don't want to see cheese?
Oh.
Bill's getting one.
On my last.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Put this one down.
I like
We're
the
not
cheese
dancing.
part. That's right.
Okay, ready, cheese.
Cheese, thank you.
You don't know who to look at.
I don't know if Karen wants to.
There we go.
Did you students like a picture? No.
Not once.
Proof that you were here?
I got you guys to laugh.
Almost like you're making it into a lunch here.
You're looking at it like she's cracked. Yes, I am.
Oh, another one.
I am too much.
Yep.
My sister is in my mind. We're gonna die soon, right?
Steve, this is a good way to sneak out.
Yeah,
if
Steve,
you
I
wanna
get out of here
sneak out.
before
You're not gonna offend us.
Steve's the only one that gets to leave, though. Good job.
You have nothing to do
You
tonight.
don't have to sign yours, we believe you.
You know what?
So much fun.
All right, I'll go ahead and call call the annual meeting to order. First, we have the oath of offices.
Do it right.
The oath of offices. Tarina does that.
Oh, yeah,
They're ready for the oath? Yeah.
All four, so Molly, Jody, Syria, and Stephanie. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties as a member of the Board of Directors of the North Scott Community School District as of now, hereafter, required by law?
I do. Well, I do.
All right, so next up is the selection of the president. There's a sheet, which one was the white one? Yeah. The white one is for the president. If there's any board member who does not want to be considered, now would be the time to let people know. Otherwise, you write down your name and who you're voting for. Minimum of 4 votes is needed. If we would end up with, let's say, 3, 3, and 1, then those 3 3s would redo a vote with just those 2 individuals. So.
Not me.
But not me.
Not me, President.
Not me. Who am I supposed to put your name on this?
You have to. It's recorded. What's that?
Do I just say no?
If you don't want to be considered, you can.
This is the one time we're like students where we.
I was actually reading the wrong line. I'm like, you're all vote for yourself.
Rena, you might have to take over here.
No, just kidding. All right, it's unanimous. Mark Pratt.
Thank you
So
very
now,
much.
Mark, you can take over the rest.
Do I need to do the oath of office again as president?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I should probably do that before I do anything else.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Rena's first. Yes.
Yeah, so just swear me in before, because I'm going to do the next.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties as a member of the Board of Directors of the North Scott Community School District as of now, hereafter, required by law? Thank you.
Great. I just want to again thank everybody for your confidence in me to do this for another year. It was a lot of good work that we're doing and fun more as we go through this meeting as well. So. Should. All right, Trina says I should first and second president,
So
so.
I make a motion that Mark Pratt.
I don't think you need to.
No.
It's been voted.
It's
No,
been
you only-
voted.
It's a
you only
vote.
make a
Roll
nomination.
call.
You
Yep,
only
yep,
vote
we're good.
nomination.
It's a vote.
That is not, that is not on the cheat sheet.
Yeah, we're good.
It's on mine.
All right, so now we're gonna do the vice president vote. So anybody that does not want to be vice president, yes, say you don't want to be vice president, and then we'll go from there.
No.
Okay. So then, yeah, I guess we'll just do it the same way here. Write our names down. And Joe will collect, and then I'll read off.
firefighter.
I will. Thank you.
All right, here, report. All right. Moving on to declaration of meetings. This is the same schedule that we've had in the past, and we just have to do it for this.
Correct, yep. So this would be the time though, if somebody would send every year, you could always change it, but it's the published ones we have currently right now.
Last meeting, it says it was a closed session.
Yeah, sometime, was it for November 13th?
June.
Yeah, in June. We do have, yes, we try to plan out what work sessions will be here too. So those won't always happen.
I move to approve the declaration of meetings.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the meeting dates? All right, no discussion. Hearing no discussion. All those in favor of approving the meeting dates, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we have our meeting dates set for right now. All right, board committees. This one, I know a lot of, we've had talks, we're gonna have a work session to schedule a lot of kind of how we want our future committees to be structured, as far as the bylaws and kind of purpose of each one.
Yeah, part of our strategic plan is really take a look at our committees, make sure which ones we want to continue to have, and then also define them. But for now, what we can do, what we've typically done is by the next meeting, what committee you want to be on, let Mark know, so then we'll approve the committees at the next board meeting. And so you can see it's been included in your packet, you know, you have finance, audit, facility, liability, insurance, policy committee, the PR committee, the city and county one's set by president, vice president, the delegate assembly is already over with, but obviously we're talking about for next year already then. The legislative network, health insurance reserve, that's that one's on there, and then interest-based problem solving, that's our negotiations. And we also had two other negotiations which aren't really on here, is if somebody's going to be on for support staff and bus drivers. Frank, I think we filled that one last year, so I know it's not on this. Again, that's kind of the work we need to do to add that to here probably. So by the next board meeting.
We should update them though, because John's still on here, and so is Glenn. So if we're gonna pass the.
No, we're not gonna pass anything tonight. I just have them in there so you can reference them to let who's going to be on them, and we'll pass them at the next board meeting.
Okay, then we
So-
need an amendment to the agenda, right? Because it said board approvals recommended.
Well, I don't recommend it, or I would not recommend passing anything tonight. So I don't know if you have to change it.
The next meeting on the 18th.
Right now.
So the board
Yep.
committees are open, so we just need a motion to table
But we have a
this
health
for the
committee
next
meeting
one.
before this, before we have the next meeting, right?
Yeah, yep. So that would stay the same, whoever's on there already.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
And there's no holes in there because there's
No.
at least somebody.
No, right now, there's at least,
Okay.
two on, yeah. right
Okay,
now.
all right.
Yep.
Sounds good.
So by the December though, let Mark know what you want to be on.
Right.
So we can get it finalized in December from that point forward.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to the appointment of legal counsel.
Yeah, so our legal counsel, making a recommendation, we stick with Lane and Waterman for our general counsel. And then this is a change from the past because our Brett Nitsky moved to Ehlers and Cooney. So he's in Des Moines now, and our stuff is with Brett in Des Moines. So we'd recommend Ehlers and Cooney, still work with Brett when it comes to negotiations and personnel. And then Ehlers and Cooney Law Firm will serve as our bond and financial.
I move to approve the appointment of legal counsel.
Second that.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any discussion on legal counsel?
This is the same though that we had last year, right? There's no changes. What is it be? Oh,
Well-
Lynch Dallas?
Yeah, Lynch Dallas is
Okay.
no longer
No,
because
that's, sorry, that's.
it was Lynch Dallas,
Okay.
so that's who Brett was with. And
Oh, okay.
he moved to
Brett's
Des
moved to
Moines.
Ehlers
Yeah.
and Cooney.
Okay, so for negotiations, is that it?
That's, I use them for personnel once in a while. If we end up in a situation with a personnel issue, we need to talk to legal counsel. I'd also use Lane and Waterman for that too. So we kind of use them both at different times depending on what the situation is. Negotiations, when I first got here 10 years ago, we paid and he was the chief negotiator. He sat at the table, he did the talking. After 1 year of doing that, now we just keep him on basically retainer. We haven't used him in a couple of years. We don't spend any money with lawyers on negotiations anymore. It just, to me, isn't.
He used to be there the entire time.
He
I
did,
was on
yeah,
it.
yeah. It's probably a philosophy change. I feel I'm hired
Yeah,
to
you
negotiate
do a
and,
good job.
but
They better
some,
with the lawyer rate too. So
yeah, it's a better lawyer rate.
So, what's the difference between the Lane and Waterman then? And so our legal counsel for administration, right, is that Lane and Waterman, or do we go back and forth between?
We use like Lane and Waterman for like expulsions mostly. We did use her, I will call and ask a question over some different things that may pop up, but it's typically, if it's something local that I need now, I call her. If it's personnel and negotiations, I call Brett.
Who's the board's attorney then?
These are all board's attorneys. So if something ever happened with me, none of them could ever represent me or any person on our staff, because you are selecting, they're your attorneys. Well, all three of them will be. They represent you, the school district, not an individual in the school.
Any further discussion on legal counsel? All right, all those in favor of approving legal counsel, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion passes. Moving on to, we have a couple more policies that we have to do
So
annually.
these are the annual policies that are included in your packet and be reviewed. They are policy 211, 7R1, rules of order and regulation, 503, student conduct, 505.9, parent family engagement, and 606.9, insufficient classroom space. That's really our open enrollment policy that allows us to deny open enrollment at elementary level when there's already 22 kids in the class.
Which we've had to involve.
Oh, yes, we have multiple sections that are like that. Yep.
All right, any questions on board policies? We can approve those.
Correct. Yep.
I move to review the board policies.
Move to approve them.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the board policies? All right, all those in favor of approving the board policies as listed here, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that passes. Moving on to the concession stand operators.
So this is just reconfirming the music, athletic, and drama boosters can run our concession stands. So I'm making a recommendation to approve that again.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item?
Yeah, sorry, just one comment for music boosters, it says 22, 23, so just with that amendment of 23, 24, just
Yep.
the year change. It's just for them, the other two are okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the agreements as noted with the one year change on the, you said it's music boosters, right?
The first one, yeah.
So, all those in favor of that, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Right. Motion passes. Now, on to naming the official newspaper.
Recommendation to continue to use the North Scott Press as our official newspaper.
I motion to approve the North Scott Press as the official newspaper.
And motion second, any discussion on this item? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the North Scott Press as our official newspaper, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we have approved paper for the year. Okay, moved on to the, I can't remember the 21, 22, I forget what it was,
22, 23.
22, yeah. All right, so that is.
I'll do it. Erin Payson, who is our equity coordinator, also has the concert tonight.
Oh.
So she couldn't be here. The next two reports are required by our by the law to have them in there. It's included in your packet. It breaks down our classes, selections, a lot of different information in that equity report that comes from Ed Insight for our district. This is the kind of information that the diversity team would take a look at and look into further details. So tonight it's presented to the board as required by law.
I move to approve the equity report.
It's been moved. Got one motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the 22-23 equity report?
Question, I think might be for Shane. The trades classes aren't on the equity report. The Ed Insights one, is there a reason for that? Do you know?
I don't know why that is, but I tried to at least put the college ones in my part, which trade audit.
Yeah.
There, we have to
I
pull
saw it in your
that
spreadsheet.
specifically from our Infinite Campus.
Yeah.
And Dan can do that a little easier, so now we can really try to dive a little deeper with it.
Okay.
I'm
I
not
just
sure
thought they
why,
were,
'cause
I
you're
thought they
right.
were in the I thought they were in there in the past, so I was just looking.
Um,
They've always been in yours, but in that Ed Insight one, so
Yeah,
I didn't know if they
I'm
didn't
not sure, I
track
have
those
to
or
do some
what.
extra things on the back end to get those
Okay.
into my.
All right. They
And
just-
it's required by Perkins, so I'm surprised they weren't in there.
Yeah.
I can ask Aaron. It could be that something happened.
Is this the one we always had the reporting issues with?
Yes.
Where the data's not necessarily accurate,
Well,
is that right?
The data is, I think, accurate
Yours
once
is
we get
accurate,
it, it's just, yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe the fluctuation, okay.
He didn't put out what you put in, I think was the issue. All right, I think I have a motion and second on the report. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the 22-23 equity report, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that passes. Moving on to the high school course enrollment data. That is you, Shane. Right?
Yeah.
It's included in the packet, again, an annual. I don't know if you have a few comments, Shane, on yours.
Yeah, just really if there's any questions, I apologize, the yellow is just our overall our overall high school data, so you can kind of compare it to the course data, just to see, because we don't have as much diversity as we want, we've grown, which is good, but what you can notice is I really look at the bigger numbers like the low SES and try to compare it there, and like we want to continue to build support so that we get more equity in that. Because if you look at our higher level math and science, that number's lower. It's not as close to the 21 as we'd like, so we want to keep working on that. But there was some good, so just initial, because it's new for me too, because it just came in, is that some of our college classes, though, are really close now. Like our psych, college, I think developmental psych, our Asian world history, is getting closer to that 21%. So that was good.
All right. I'll entertain a motion on the enrollment data. So moved.
Yeah.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the high school course enrollment data? And hearing none, all those in favor of approving the enrollment data, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we have approved enrollment data. Now moving on, we have a resolution to designate the financial depository institutions.
It is. So it's an annual item, but I code can't exceed what's on here. I would say, I just want to add that, to me, I have this depository resolution to be in compliance, and then I also have agreements with banks. Because all of our money, since we're a government entity, has to be fully insured, all of it, so that plays into, all of their deposits that they have on hand. And for example, First Central doesn't want us to have more than like 13 million, but we get really large deposits, so as long as within the week or whatever, I move it out and they can do short-term, watches for us, they're okay with that. So some of these numbers look kind of high, but when we get really big deposits twice a year for property taxes, and then we're trying to pay these bills on all these projects, and then we're gonna be issuing GO bonds, I have to move money around a little bit more. So this resolution, the changes I have, are to increase First Trust 5 million, and then for our GO bonds to have ICE check go to 50 million. And then, in a year or so, we'll readjust
entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on where we hold our money? All right, all those in favor of approving the resolution as noted here in the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are approved. Moving on to consent agenda. Any motion on that?
Consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on any of the items in the consent agenda? All right.
Sorry, I did have a question. Resignations of some of the coaches, if we can't find anybody, do they graciously come back and give us another year? Until we can find somebody?
Oh, we can
There's a
hope.
couple like E3, some
Yeah.
E3, because that happens.
It does happen sometimes.
They're the first one to call us. That's what I used to do in the Little League.
Somebody threw a guilt trip on it.
Yeah. All right, it's been motion and seconded. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? All right, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, so we are approved agenda. Now moving on to recognition.
Yeah, FFA had a conflict come up today, so they weren't able to attend tonight.
Alright.
They're planning on coming in December.
Okay.
The Iowa Thespian Festival 2023, we had first place solo music, Amber Boswell. Second place duet acting, Keegan Panther and Lauren Pulowski. First place short film, Jack McCarthy. Then International Thespian Festival, Thespian Qualifiers, duet acting, Keegan Panther and Lauren Pulowski. Duet musical theater, Thomas McCarthy and Riley McCoy. Duet musical theater, Ryan, thank you, Lasher and Gabby Anderson. Duet musical theater, Hannah Noonan and Isaiah Serrano, thank you. Solo musical, Raina Latcher. Solo musical theater, Amber Boswell. Solo musical theater, Hannah Noonan. Group musical theater, Thomas McCarthy, Caleb Strom, Isaiah Serrano, Riley McCoy, Maddox Lamb, and Isaiah Jensen. And short film, Jackson McCarthy. And then Tech Challenge, which won about everything. They had first place light hanging. They had first place event leg and platform. Zaya Serrano, and then Ryan Stickler and Caleb Strom. First place event cable roll-up relay with a time of 2 minutes 44.75 seconds. Ryan Stickler, Evan Lubin, Isaiah Serrano, Aiden Kelsey, and Caleb Strom. And first place Team Tech Challenge with overall time of 6 minutes 33.21 seconds out of 19 teams from 13 schools around the state. Congratulations to all. So congratulations to them.
Anybody here today? No? Those names?
Since that's such a short time, I think that'd be pretty neat for them to demonstrate that before next time at the high
Is
school.
anybody here on this list?
Nope. Nope.
That's cool.
All right, that's awesome. All right, moving on to bills. Jill?
This evening I have $1,906,742 worth of bills presented for approval for payment. My highlights include Bob Brown's Chevrolet for $42,170. We were able to get a used 2020 Chevy Express passenger van. Payment to Tri-City Electric for food service display case at the junior high, and a payment to Bob Rogers Travel for the 2024 Disney van trip. That is for $30,321. Thank you.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on bills.
I motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Motion seconded. Any further discussion on the bills? All right. You can always remember with the band and how, I think during COVID, like we were really back and forth on whether they're gonna go or not that one year.
And get our money back.
Yeah. So, all right, sorry to bring up bad memories there. All right, all those in favor of approve the bills, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, bills are paid. Moving on to Chad, we've all been waiting for your presentation.
All right. Do I need the mic? You want the mic? I got the mic.
Show it off.
It's hard for me to hear you guys. That's it. All we'll use it. Well, welcome down, Shepard. Tonight, just wanted to give an update on our building project. I know some of our board members have had a chance to walk through and see some of the progress. A lot of the community hasn't, so we wanted to take an opportunity to talk about what's happened so far, what's still left to be done, and then how that will have a positive impact on our building here. Our student enrollment sits at about 480 kids. That includes preschool. So the additional space will be much needed. We'll kind of talk about how that'll help us here in a minute. Did just want to give a kind of a brief overview of the timeline. Work really started last April. Actually, right after spring break last year in March, they removed all the trees. And then in about May, started bringing in all the dirt. So students were pretty amazed. In fact, it was a math problem in one of our 5th grade classes. The foreman for Russell, and I forget the number at the time, how much dirt needed to be brought in. And the kids calculated how much tonnage the trucks could carry in dirt and how much it would totally be. We had about 500 truckloads of dirt brought into school here, so to level up the ground out there. As we moved into fall, the beginning of the school year, you've really had a chance to watch it grow. If you don't make it out to Allen Shepard all that often, it probably seems like it goes really fast. For coming to work every day, sometimes you're like, all right, we didn't look like they got anything done today, but no, the walls have been kind of the big part. The masonry work is started at the end of the summer, and that's gone on all through the fall. And last update I had last week, windows should be going in this week. They're finishing up on the roof, and all the interior brickwork is starting to go up, so it's really starting to come together as they've been doing all that, the electrical, the plumbing, and all that stuff. So the hope is that by the end of winter, February, March, we'll be able to start utilizing the space this year. With by the beginning of next school year, hopefully utilizing the kitchen space as well. Fingers crossed on components and projects and things like that coming together. So. As I mentioned, over the last 6 months, there's been a ton of work going on out there. Been a big change to our space. We joked at the beginning of the school year as a staff that everything in Long Grove was under construction. For anybody that lives in Long Grove, you know the roads were under construction coming into town, which caused a detour around to get to the building, and then obviously here when you get to the building, a lot of changes going on. As I mentioned, though, still a lot of work to be done, but hopefully this is completed over the next couple months that we can start utilizing the space this year. I know we have a bunch of 6th graders in our building that are hopeful that it gets done so they can say at least that they got to use it a little bit before they go on to the junior high. In fact, a lot of kids were like, oh, this happens when we're 6th graders and then we're going to leave. So we're hoping they get to experience it a little bit before that comes to fruition. So, yeah. Well, I've told the kids, it sounds like we've got a lot of other projects in the works for the junior high and high school, so they're going to reap a lot of benefits down the road too. But really the big part is how it's going to impact us here at Allen Shepard. I just wanted to kind of give a snapshot of, I know it's a big investment for our school, from our community, and how that's going to be positively used here at Allen Shepard. So first and foremost, the cafeteria space is probably the biggest one. Like I mentioned, we have 480 students. About 440 of those are K through 6, so they're eating lunch here every day. Having a dedicated cafeteria space is going to be really instrumental for us. Right now, at peak times when we have 4th, 5th, and 6th graders in the gym, we've got about 200 kids eating lunch at one time in that space. So you've been to our gym, you know that's a crowded space. 200 kids. It's just louder in there, so looking to provide just a better environment too. Not only does it feel kind of rushed for students, it gets loud in there. I think if we had 200 adults in there, we'd be in the same spot. It's not just a kid thing, it's just kind of a space piece. But having a dedicated cafeteria space is going to provide more space for our students, chance for visitors. We have a lot of visitors, like families will come in and have lunch with their kids, and I always feel bad because either they're cramming into a table surrounded by another group of kids, or if we're lucky, sometimes we'll have an open space for them to go to. But beyond just the use for daily lunch, we're looking forward to that being a kind of a multi-purpose space for us. I can envision a lot of our grade levels going there for group projects and things like that, because it'll be open for the majority of the day to do that. But we also have different events. I know some of you are members of Rotary. They were just here a couple weeks ago doing an activity. And of course, we have to be kind of strategic when we plan those. We either have to do it on a day where Mrs. Brock isn't teaching PE, or we've got to try to cram it into schedules. So things like that with the Rotary. When we do our 6th grade graduation, you know, for years we've been doing those out at the blacktop because we just haven't had the space in the gym, or it's really hot in the gym. The gym is not air conditioned. We have things going on right now in our building like Lego League and Vent Iowa. We oftentimes are asking teachers, hey, can we use your classroom space after school for this? Well, now we'll have a dedicated space in the gym or the cafeteria, depending on where childcare goes, to utilize those things. So we're really excited about having that. I took a couple pictures just to show. This was right before break, so this picture was taken on Tuesday of last week, so just showing a little bit of the process that's going on in there. So it'll be a nice location for us. Another part of the expansion is we're going to have a dedicated art room. I know Mrs. Graham would speak to this, but it will be bigger in size than her current classroom space. And right now we have in our art room one little sink in the corner, and so when classes are doing painting and washing out brushes, or working with clay and washing their hands, they're running across the hall to use the bathrooms. And so having a dedicated art room that's going to be bigger in size, it's going to have way more storage, 6 times the sinks than we currently have, and then having our kiln room attached to it is really going to, I think, make that space really great for our program. I think that Mrs. Graham and the kids will really love that place and that opportunity, which in turn will open up a classroom here for different programmings and things like that. Right now we have one open classroom that we're utilizing because we're down in sections in 1st and kindergarten, but our hope is that we get back to being a full 3-section building at some point, and so we know having a couple open classroom spaces will be beneficial. The gym, as I mentioned, will no longer need to run our school schedule just around the gym, and so we will have the gym, obviously it'll be used mostly for PE class, but if PE isn't in session, we'll try to utilize that for other stuff as well. This also opens it up for the community. Right now our space is only open after 6 o'clock because of childcare. So for teams that like to come practice out here, they'd be able to get into that earlier in the evening. Maybe one of the underrated parts of the expansion, but definitely a huge piece for us, is the additional bathrooms. Right now we have just 3 bathrooms to service all 480 kids in the school, and so adding an additional one will be really beneficial. It'll be down this hallway, so it'll be really great for our kindergarten and 1st grade classrooms to use, which will keep a little bit more of the traffic out of our back hallway. It also triples our staff bathroom. I see Mrs. Hayes here. We have 1 staff bathroom for 64 staff members tucked into the corner of our workroom here. So opening up 2 more will be nice for everybody here too. So excited about that piece. As I mentioned, additional classroom spaces. We'll have our art room open up, and then our current teacher's lounge is just right off the space here, but we know that can be utilized for another space, whether that's special education, intervention, or another classroom down the road. We do have preschool back in our building, so if we ever get kindergarten back up to 3 sections, we know we might have to make some changes as to where that location is. And so I mentioned a little bit, one of the most exciting parts for me is the scheduling piece. Right now I just have a copy of what our schedule looks like on a daily basis here in terms of prep for teachers and specials for students. You'll notice though, our official school start time is 8:10, and so for our 5th grade classes right now, that means they check in real quick and they head off to specials. We start specials right at 8:10 just so that we can get the gym ready to go at 11:10 for lunch. And part of 3rd grade right now is part of their gym activity is pushing and pulling tables in and out so that we can get set up to start serving lunch at 11:15. And having that dedicated space is now going to allow us the flexibility to not have to start specials right at 8:10. We can give the classroom teachers time in the morning to check in with their kids before going to specials. We'll be able to alter that a little bit, give a little bit more time in the morning, and then obviously we are not bound to having a space for lunch be tied in with gym. Our special schedule will no longer have to run how we serve lunch and things like that. So those are just some of the positive impacts, and I'm sure there'll be probably more as we get going and we start utilizing the space, but wanted to open it up for any questions that the board or even community members might have about the space and how we plan to utilize it here. Tracy. Yeah.
I still agree with that extra cafeteria space. I volunteered with the lunch workers. It's stressful to get the kids in and out and to try to get the floor ready for the PE class, the custodian and the staff and the associate that helps with that. Everybody chips in. It's very frantic. It's every day. I don't know how they do it. So I'm really excited that you guys are gonna have that space for that alone.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I do have to give credit. Elizabeth Roop has been here the entire time that I have, and we've had other people right now. It's Sarah Ackerman. Those two work really hard to serve lunch, set up for it, and tear down in a timely manner. Of course, Joe Needham, our custodian, is really good about helping with that. Mrs. Brock's really flexible too. It takes, that's her classroom space, and she's giving it up every day a little bit for third grade and kindergarten just to get set up, and in the morning too, because we serve breakfast out of there as well. So there's a little bit of time there in the morning where that overlaps. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of people have worked hard and very flexible to try to get it set up and torn down. And it's a very well-oiled machine, but it takes all hands. So. Correct. Yeah. So I guess that doesn't. I don't think about that so much on the impact for us. So that we'll still be getting our food, but it should be providing a closer food source for sure. And I think the plan is to serve food for us and John Glenn. So right now all of our food is brought in on hot carts and stored. And so you think about our 6th grade kids who are the last to eat. That food's been sitting in a hot cart for a while, so certainly having it here will be a big perk too. That keeps getting kind of pushed back. We meet on an every other week basis, and every time I ask for an update on that, it's usually later. So.
A nice report, Jen. Very nice report.
Yeah, well, what I hope here in a couple months, we'll have you guys all back, and we'll have to come up with some sort of event where we can, showcase it to the public. And worked with Joe and a company. We're getting some new furniture ordered, some new lunch tables. It's going to be a really nice space, and we're excited for it. So, yeah. Yeah, I got lucky that there was a system already in place for all this stuff, but it is a lot of takes a lot of work to get it set up and torn down, and it'll be beneficial for the students and staff here for sure. All right. Well, thanks everybody.
Approve the SBRC application.
Second.
It's been motion second. Any further discussion on this? Again, this is, I guess, for us. Everybody is aware we do this every year. It's right on this dollar line. So, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the SBRC application request, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Right, we are approved. To change orders.
Yeah, there was a number of change orders included. The first one is for Allen Shepard River Valley construction for spray foam and a metal studded wall to be able to frame in a door. That will increase their contract by $4,350. So a motion to approve is recommended.
Just a question on that. Was that something that wasn't put in with the architect's drawing? Because the way I read it was it was supposed to fill in a space that
Correct.
was not there.
It was the there was no nothing to attach the door to. Correct. spray foam is to meet requirements.
Right. Understand.
So as a miss,
Well, architect didn't put it in there. I mean, if you put a door frame and you have to have something to butt it up, and it's not there, so something was left off in the drawing someplace. That's what I see.
That's what it was. Yep.
Okay.
sand doesn't catch that?
What's that?
Like the sand doesn't catch that, or where?
No, the contractor caught it when they were finishing up, ready to go. And
Ready to
said,
put the
"We don't
door
have
in."
anything in here to put a door in here. We gotta put a metal frame in."
Who's supposed to be looking at that, just for viability? Is the architect?
Architect and CM, that's why we have both. So, you know, it comes down to is those kind of things. Is it something that was missed that where we would have had to buy it the first time, right? If they would have had it in there versus sometimes they miss it where like inches of cement where the architect would eat it up or would eat that cost. So it's just how it comes down to as we look at it. So
I think there's another one that's a blue.
there'll be a couple of them where we sometimes benefit and sometimes we don't benefit.
Right. And a loo for an exhaust. What, I mean, that typically seems, don't you normally have loos
Yep.
on exhaust things, so how did that?
Welcome to my role.
Well, I mean, somebody's gotta,
Right.
it was missed.
Right.
We bid it out as this is the complete thing, and it's missed, then.
So are we approving this one?
We need to
Yeah.
Okay, I move to approve.
Hold on. So what do we want to say, Molly?
contact.
So, I guess basically, a lot of these is, it's not catching like Joe said too, it's the first miss and everything, and so that's industry standard for municipalities, correct? So we just have to work.
I mean, I'm concerned that as an architect's screw up, and we're paying an architect good money to do this. However, this is not a big piece of money that been in construction for over 30 years. And you can know that that happened, so, I mean, a change order is a change order. These are all, for me, small amounts.
Yes.
We're benefiting on some, I didn't add them up, but we're benefiting more than we're paying out, but it's gotta be done to make the project right.
Yeah, we do, and we don't use a lot of contingency because I don't let them treat it like it's their money.
Yeah, we appreciate that, you do, Joe. So I have entertained a motion on this first change order.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the first change order for River Valley Construction for Allen Shepard, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, that one passes. Moving on to Swanson Construction. Joe?
So Swanson Construction has an access panel, and you can see there was an add and a subtract, so it's a total of $387.41.
Motion to approve the change order for Swanson Construction.
Second.
Good motion, second. Any further discussion on this one? All right, all those in favor of approving the Swanson Construction change orders, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that one's approved. Moving on to, I always butcher his last name.
IRIG, yeah, IRIG.
IRIG Works.
Yeah, IRIG Works, this was for plates that were added on to the project. It was, the original contract, decreased by $1,525.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion on the IRIG Works change orders? Right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the proposed change order, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that one passes. Moving on to Color Inc. I hope they're a painting company with that name.
It is a painting company, and this one was a decrease because as we started going through it, we don't need to paint the electrical room that nobody goes into, and so it's a decrease for that. And only one coat for the ceiling.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motion and seconded. Any further discussion on this item? All right, all those in favor of approving the Color Inc.'s change order, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion passes. Moving on to ISC or Industrial Steel Erectors.
The industrial steel record, this was a base plate change modification that increased by our cost by $1,525. Motion to approve is recommended.
So that just changed from IRIG Works to Industrial Steel, right?
It was, yes, yeah. Somebody else had to do it. Good catch. one
moved.
decrease and one increase.
Second.
Okay, is it moved and seconded? Any further discussion on this one? All right, all those in favor of approving the ISE's change order, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that one passes. Move on to the sprinkler change order.
Sprinkler change order for Continental Fire Sprinkler is a decrease of $725. It's just it was a change in the design as they were starting to put it in. That was a savings.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the Continental Fire Sprinkler change order? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving said change order, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion passes. Moving on to Alan Shepard Hometown Mechanical.
So this was the one that was discussed. One was the pipe size change from 1.5 to 2 inches, and then an exhaust louvers were put in, had to be put in, and so that was an increased cost of $2,199.12.
Was there a reason for the
For capacity, as I recall from the conversations, we needed 2 inch.
So part of that's probably just changing the sizing based on the actual. Refine the design as they get to more of their stuff, and so they'll figure out like something will need a certain size, and they'll have to change it that way. So seeing that ripple effect through is really why we're here right now. But yes.
Thanks.
All right. Any?
So moved.
All right. Got one motion. I need a second.
Second.
It's been motion and seconded. Any further discussion on hometown mechanical exchange orders? All right. All those in favor of approving hometown mechanical exchange orders, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Motion passes. Rock River Electric.
So this is a change order for $7,919 because once they finish the short circuit study, then they have to change the work that they have to do to meet that study. So you'll see that in a second time too.
But what is the sort of circuit study? I mean, because I saw it both. You know, my question is, why are they coming to us now
It's so when you go,
instead of being out there?
because you don't know it until you actually order your panels that they can actually do that study. So it's that study can't be done until you to do the panels, the gearboxes that are being done. And so ask the same question, well, why would we know that? We'd love to stay away from gearboxes, but yes, that's why. It's you have to have already ordered it before they're going to be willing to do something, a study on something that they don't know if it's going to be ordered.
Is there a contingency thing then?
We have the contingency, all these projects have
I
contingency
know,
that this comes from.
that one in particular, did they go into it saying we don't know, so?
Well, Mark might be able to answer that more because he does more projects than we do. That's the process that we talked about on both this
Yeah.
project and then also the Regional Innovation Center for it. And so that's what they would love to have instead of contingency allowances. I will not let them put allowances into
No.
our projects because then that becomes the company's money.
Yeah.
Because then they don't have to ask us, well, we're just taking out of our allowance. And so I still require to be contingency, so we have to have the conversations.
Right.
Based on, I mean, all these, like Frank said, are very small change orders, so I'm very happy if I get any of my change orders under 10 grand for anything going on, so.
Your projects are $100 million, right? So-
Bigger now.
Some of them, I know, some are a little small.
But this is just the beginning.
Right.
Right, I mean,
So-
we're really just getting change orders, we got another 2 years of this.
Right.
Yeah, well, for like Alan Shepard, we're probably through the change orders. There isn't much left. I mean, once I think all the unknowns are pretty much there now. For it. Obviously, the Regional Innovation Center is potentially the biggest change orders would have been the land, the unsuitable soils and stuff, because it's a brand new building, brand new additions. It's our old, when we started like tearing into the remodels, that's when I get really worried all the way through the entire project. I would anticipate Alan Shepard, majority of the contingency will be coming back to us, and the regional center. I'll be shocked if we have to use much more of it, unless we decide to for some reason. Sometimes we make those decisions too, but brand new is a lot less than tearing in like the high school was. That was a horrible one. It was all on board then, but they were all the
You don't know what you're gonna
Yeah,
find.
you
You always run into asbestos.
Yeah, until they tear into something, they don't know what they're gonna find.
And you don't know the
so-
scope of it either.
Yeah. So I wouldn't anticipate it being like we're behind, so you're getting a lot tonight, and that's why it feels that way, because we're catching you guys up.
Okay. So we have I think think I have a motion and a second on the Rock River. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the Rock River change orders, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that's approved. Moving on to a couple for the Innovation Center for Centennial Contractors.
Yeah, so Centennial Contractors, it ended up being two situations. Once they had the building ordered and the building had to do a stress test and then they give it to figure out exactly what the foundations, but we ended up with one that was an increase and then one that was a decrease, and it ended up being a net decrease of $10,410. So this is where it benefited us. They couldn't do that until the building was ordered, until the building gave those reports. And so yes, we had to increase the foundations, but the over was a lot, obviously 10,000. So motion to approve that was recommended.
So
Second.
Been motion second. Any further discussion on this one? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the change order for Centennial Contractors for the Innovation Center, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are approved on that. Last one is the Innovation Center with Shaw Electric.
Same thing with after the study was done, it's an increase of $9,300 to the project because of the short circuit study and the extra work we have to do.
All right.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the Shaw Electric change order, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we're approved. Moving on to the Geo Bonds timeline. Jill?
Yeah, this evening I just wanted to include an informational item, just in case you have any additional questions, and let you know. So our next few meetings, December 18th, we'll approve our sale documents and publication of that. And January 8th, 10 a.m., actually, Joe and I have a bid opening for that at North Scott, and then approve financing of the bids that evening. Authorize the issuance January 22nd, and then actually receive the funds February 8th is our current schedule. Working with Allers and PFM to get all those documents ready this week, actually. So other than that, I didn't have anything else to share.
Jill, the docs you gave us last meeting, anything changed for those or those?
Not as of right now, no.
Any other questions for Jill on this? This is just for information only right now, so no action for us tonight. Correct? All right. Moving on to superintendent's reports.
All right, enrollment summaries included again. I put the 3 calendars that are up for consideration, all very similar except for the amount of early releases. The survey information came out, I sent it to you guys right before break, and you can take a look at it. We just need to really take a look at the data, because there were 41% of families or parents who would have questioned doing more early outs. And so, digging through that a little bit further, do you take, since there's only 3 categories, do you consider a neutral person a positive, or do you consider them part of the negative, or do you split it in half? I just think we need to think about it a little bit more. The next board meeting will set the public hearing, which obviously people can come out and speak to it, and I'll have a recommendation for that for January. So the first meeting in January, we'd have a public hearing, and then we'll approve the calendar for next year.
How many total responses?
There were 1,100 families. It's a little bit different. You don't know if somebody selected family or selected administrator, and they really weren't. I mean, it isn't. I think it was good to do that survey. I think we had the board as part of our work session. We got to take a look at that information, decide what it means. Next year, we're working today in a leadership. Our strategic plan really is up on it says by 25 we will do this, this, and this. Next year is probably time to think about what type of strategic plan should we be doing, and is it the same, using the same format or is it different format? Because it would be time for that. So, but it was good. 1,100 is a lot of responses. So very nice.
So we'll review that in our work session. We've got to do a deep dive into that.
Winter break schedule has been included in the update, so you see that basically appointments during winter
We
break.
just started last week, Joe.
I know. Just got through. School board convention, I know board members, I don't know if you want to speak during this time. I would just say, the general speakers had good information, maybe not as funny as in the past as sometimes, but I thought there was a lot of good information from that. for me, the one session that I'm really glad I went to is there is new requirements for the budgeting process that causes a lot more work for Jill. How's it say, Jill and I? I bet Jill. There is.
invite you into my office.
There is an extra. There's an extra hearing. That only thing can be on that hearing is about the budget, and the county auditor has a lot of work to do because before that meeting, they have to send a piece of paper home to every single one of us who's a taxpayer that shows our taxes and explains it, and then we have to hold a public hearing on that portion of it, and then we have to hold our regular public hearing, and the time schedule is short. They don't want us to do it before March 20th because they want to give that county auditor more days to get it out, and but yet by, I think it's now May 1st, we have to approve the budget. It's a really short window, so that one was a huge benefit for me to go to and listen to what this new process is going to be. And I know Jill's organization is also holding information on this too. So I don't know if anybody else wants to comment on the school board convention, but I know we had all board members down there but one, and I know it's a lot of extra time, so I appreciate that. You taking the time to hold the school board convention.
All I can say, it was well attended. We had reports that we're getting back up to the pre-COVID numbers. I actually had an opportunity, because I stayed there Thursday night, to go out to dinner with Robbie, who is our opening speaker in the morning, and Bill Cruz, who is our last speaker. So to be able to go out and have a meal with them and actually talk to them about what they do, it was rather interesting and educational. We had I'll speak a little bit more in private. We had when we were at the dinner, we had a celebrity come through the dining area, and it was interesting to see. Basically, both speakers got up and wanted to listen to this individual, and it came out was what it was all about. We kind of stayed away. So. But it was good. It was a good time. And we went through, and I have to say thanks to all the board members who have gone to the Day on the Hill and the convention, and to get, because I'm not aware of how many times our school district actually got a certificate as a school district. I know our members
First time since I've been here.
And for me to be on the board, it makes me feel good to go in and say, hey, listen, our school district is doing it, and then I can go out to other school districts, tell them, hey, you guys can do it too. So there will be a regional meeting in Macokota, the 18th of January. I'll let you know about that. And we may have the executive director down for breakfast or lunch or dinner or something like that on the 18th, just to let you know. But I appreciate it. I thought it went pretty well, even though I had to be introducing some speakers. But I appreciate everybody being down there.
Thank you, Frank.
I only went one day, but I always feel I leave there with so much confidence that I feel like we can be presenting. And I'm not saying that in a bragging way, it's just I feel that
I think we should.
are really so many areas best of the best. And so I think, geez, we could be saying that and more. So it just makes me feel good that we have such
We're doing a good
job in the district, yeah.
Frank was re-elected as District 6 rep, so.
Next 2 years.
Good job.
Thank you, Frank.
Doesn't matter.
You and Molly got to go through the
I couldn't even
delegate.
nominate, it has to be a delegate. Well, yeah, we went to the assembly.
Somebody's got to do it. Let's put it that way.
Really?
I'm glad it's you.
Yeah, just a few things.
Thank you.
Molly, do you have anything else you want to?
I think several of us went to the CTU, and that was pretty interesting, like just to learn, is it Greene County, Jefferson, Iowa?
Yep.
Just to learn how they do their CT program. They have kind of a center, CT center, it's attached to their school.
Yeah.
They have a different agreement with whatever community college is there. They purchase a certain amount. But the gal that was there, I don't know her, she was employed by the university or by the community college, but that's a part of their 1,000 credits they pay for or whatever. So just interesting to see how the people school. Seniors was there talking about her credits that she's graduated stuff and had, what, 250 kids like that in there, so it was really, it's cool, so it's cute.
I thought it was interesting that they did elementary camps for
That's
CTE
what I was gonna
through
say.
Iowa
And
State
junior high.
Extension, right?
Yeah, I like the
Yeah,
idea of
kids
getting a
camps.
lot of the kids involved from elementary up in our center.
The only other session I went to one for student achievement, and Spencer school system did a few changes where they saw a lot of growth. So that was really, really interesting what they. Was that?
Was it the meeting?
They worked with a company on something. Was it a company they
No.
were working with? Oh, that was
No,
good.
but one of it was, I mean, student achievement in the school and their reading and math, what do you call it, the levels? Mine just looked like that.
Proficiency.
The proficiency ratings, yes, thank you. That was one of them, but they got the entire community to read.
To read.
So it wasn't just the school, it was, they had Saturday morning reading at the fire station, and tour, and then maybe 120 kids showed up. Or they got the whole community involved, like, take 15 to read, it was hashtag Spencer Reads. So you'd see the guy in the delivery truck parking his truck, taking a picture of himself reading for 15 minutes, and it's a Spencer Read. So they really, because they figured that literacy is not just a school issue, it's a community issue. So it was really cool to see that. Then the other thing was that they had some really good experience.
Who led that initiative, Molly? Who leads that, to have the whole community do it?
That was the school district that did it.
Yeah, but who in the district does that?
I think it was just some of the literacy,
The librarian.
folks, the librarians, they went out and got community members, and they got, the librarians of the community, they got business owners, they got,
It was,
yeah, it was really cool.
it was interesting.
I like that.
Anyway, that's
a good one.
Anybody else?
Did anybody go to that last one I left, that conflict one? What was that one?
The last big speaker?
Yeah.
Is that, yeah. What'd you think of that one?
I thought all the speakers were good.
Yeah, the lunch
They
one.
had good information, but
Yeah. Exactly.
it was like listening to a college professor lecture to us too. They could have had
Lunch one?
It was.
a little more jokes.
I like the jokes.
Yeah, but it was good. I think there were a lot of good things, so.
The keynote speakers are always years, so.
I mean, it was interesting because the one, Dale Cruz was actually going to Chicago to speak to the Illinois School Board Association the very next day. And he was going to be the opening speaker. So he was our end. And then Robbie was actually going to LA. So
That was me, you went to look down. What group was he singing in again?
Hanson.
Hanson.
The Hanson.
He was a
Right.
guitarist.
I know, I looked him up.
I think we need to figure out how to have our choir be the opening choir too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I bet Mrs. Potts would do an amazing job with that.
Several of us did 101 and 102 finance too, and so that's a lot to ask all day long.
Jill would have
to
been
sit
right
and
in her heyday
listen.
when she did
We tried to.
What's that one now?
it. All numbers.
Hey, they know enough to be dangerous now.
I think we need to.
All right, 2025 update, Joe?
Yeah, Alan Shepard obviously was covered by Chad tonight. If you've been by the Regional Innovation Center, steel is finally going up, but in the next probably few weeks, maybe January, I would say the odds of us being able to use it first semester and to be able to give Shane that opportunity to schedule kids, I think that is starting to, especially with the weather changing now, it's gonna be tough, but we'll know
Those
more.
are panel walls, right, going up on the outside.
Yeah, but they're not even on site yet, the walls, but yeah, they're
They go
double
up
insulated.
They go quick, because it's just.
Yeah,
you
it
just
would,
snap
it just,
them together, basically.
there's just
Not
enough.
quicker than masonry.
Like,
Yes.
yeah. And we don't
Very
get,
much so.
we don't get the gearbox in until August 1st. Well, you still gotta get fire up the building. All the HVAC has to be tested. It'd be hard to say we can be available. We'll find We'll know more here next week. Softball, we're on the punch list, so that's nice. Football, phase 1, demolition of the stadium and stuff is done. The field is being cleared. Phase 2 was bidded out on Tuesday before Thanksgiving. It's $500,000 over budget. I have a meeting Thursday to talk with what our ideas to bring down that. That's not including any of the extras. Basically, it's over the locker room. I mean, if we didn't do the locker room, any locker rooms under there, we'd be at budget. The problem is
You should be writing that on your notes.
is we to get rid of the locker room, let's say to make budget, means we also have to just rebid the whole thing out because we have to do a redesign underneath anyway, and so that means it has to be rebid out. Have one issue with but we only have one bid for the general trades, and so I got to work through that issue with it. And so I'll have more information coming soon. Obviously, you find out on Tuesday at 3:30, and then we start breaking. So, and I've been in a class today and tomorrow. So Jill and I haven't sat to look at budget and things like that. So.
Do we think some of the contingency, the other places will cover it?
Well, I think budget-wise, probably will. That's what but I also, we still have 3 more projects yet to bid out too. And so, is this bidding? It's first time ever in our history since I've been here we've been overbid. Our bids have come in over. So, kind of a luxury to be that. And if you think about our total scope of projects, 500 really isn't that big. But it's big for this project, and because we have 3 more to go, what if this is the new trend? Because there's so much work going, what if our next 2 come in $1 million over or something? You know, if this was the last one, it'd be a lot easier to make some decisions, but I just don't have enough information. That's why it was not on the agenda tonight. We have 60 days to either reject the bids or accept the bids. Or we can reject just one. It could be potentially we reject one bid to go back out to bid for that too. So I just don't have enough information. But that's where we sit today.
But we're also spending $30 more of regionals than we're planning.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not just.
Yeah, and there's other things that could fall in place. Obviously, if the federal government gives us an appropriation of $2 million, I got a much different recommendation, right? And we're waiting, that could be any day, we find out.
Do not ask me about that, because
I know. So.
Update on wrestling facility?
Yep, I'll keep going. The wrestling and Neil Armstrong go to bid in December and getting bids in January. Junior high is out for bid right now. They have a pre-meeting tomorrow for bid, so we'll know at the next board meeting what the junior high is. So we're down to one last piece, hopefully. Welding, we bid and accepted that, and then of course the one I just talked about. So it'd be nice to get through here by January. We'll have all the projects hopefully bidded out, know how we're paying for them, and we'll go on from there. So, still on nervous. Say that again.
Anybody helping us on the wrestling facility?
Well, I'm getting the Continental is doing the sprinkler system design for free, and then Zach is working on the rest to go to bid, to put the bid package together.
I mean, anybody for hiring in general or anything? How much is the expected renovations?
Well, we haven't budgeted 800, but I don't know what it'll be now with the sprinkler system being in. So no, we would just be doing this one ourselves, just ourselves. We wouldn't be paying CM and
Well, I was just thinking of GC, not necessarily.
Yeah, it'll be basically it'll be GC by each of the bids that we do out. So yeah, basically it'll probably be one contractor, except for the sprinkler system, it'll probably be its own contractor. So yeah, so basically it'll be a GC project with us overseeing it.
Any shooting for any timelines?
Well, right first of the year, and it's an inside, so hopefully get started right away. The sprinkler system, I just don't have a feel on, is there time, is there any delays in sprinkler systems? Obviously, the sprinkler system takes a year to put in, then we're in a really horrible position. I can't imagine that, it's just pipe. I don't know of a sprinkler system, anything.
It's just pipe that you're.
Yeah, and that's a wide open building, so that shouldn't
And the
take
water
long.
is already an 8 inch or something.
Yeah, on the back side, so it's right there, so we'll put a little sprinkler corner in that corner back room, so that's really nice, because that'll save us, we don't have to run a huge line, because it's sitting right at that back corner, so, yeah.
I was just wondering for time. I mean, I think the impression is the wrestling season's done in February, but it's really not. Then they start freestyle, then they do camps. I mean, that building is used pretty much,
Yeah.
the mats, wrestling room is used.
It's like any of our
all year
sports, they
round.
don't stop.
Yeah.
They don't
So
stop.
the
So,
earlier
yeah.
and they're running 2 practices now because they got 70 kids out for high school guys and 40 for girls and 196, which is a record for little
Yeah, a lot of kids. Yeah, we
So
could use a
they're-
And then the only other thing, fundraising's gone really well though for the regional center, and that hasn't been calculated into where our money is. And as mentioned, John been helping with that. We went to ADM. I got a call from ADM, and the gentleman called me and said I was supposed to call you and have you turn a proposal in for $100,000. And so that's $100,000 coming our way. Dippers, Granby Farms, $100,000. We have two anonymous ones that are probably going to be $100,000 too. And so that's been really nice. I think we're estimated, depending where ADM comes in, right now at about 500, and we're about ready to release and go to the lower levels where campaigning differently than right now. Doing a lot of John calls up, sets up a meeting, and then Jacob and I and John go and have talked to it. So far, we've done really well at those meetings. And so things look good, and that helps then free up money for other projects and outfitting the building. And so that's gone really well. And so thank you. Thank you, Granby Farms and Denver's. We sure appreciate it.
Be exciting.
All right.
So that's all I have.
All right. Moving on to board comments. Any additional things we haven't already discussed tonight? All right, here none. I will. Oh, before we have regional director for your students, ADMS can sign your papers up here. I'll entertain one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion saying all those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.